Warfare is an extension of policy by other means. Warfare is also an extension of negotiations between two parties, between two countries. And so conflict itself can be viewed as a form of negotiation, generally, when you have two at least semi rational parties. And I'm not saying that some warfare in combat is not irrational. Some of it is, but much of it is rational, or at least rationally based. And through that lens, we are going to talk about the current Israel Iran conflict that has been brewing, but seems to have been tamped down. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you everybody for tuning in. My name is Joe Palmetto. I am your host. I have a bachelor's degree in political science, an Asian studies certificate with a focus on East Asian policy and culture. I also have a law degree from the University of Duquesne. I served in the military for 4 years. And on this channel, we talk about libertarianism, politics, international relations. Now, let me rewind a little bit here. And let me first start, though, by saying that this conflict between, at least the direct tensions between Israel and Iran, has played out essentially how I predicted after the Iranian retaliatory strike. And if you watch my prior videos, you will see that. And what I predicted is that Israel either would not strike back or would take a very limited strike, a strike lesser than the one that Iran took against them, in order to tamp down tensions and return to something similar to the previous status quo. So what exactly am I talking about here? Well, we all know about the October 7th attacks of Hamas on the country of Israel, which killed over 1,000 people, mostly civilians. And in turn, Israel struck back by invading Gaza and targeting Hamas. And there's also been many, many civilians killed in Israel's invasion. So this conflict has started a new phase on October 7th, 2023, but it's been ongoing for decades between Gaza, Palestinians, Israel. And if you watch my prior videos, but many of you also know that Iran essentially takes the side, the country of Iran takes the side of the Palestinians in Gaza, and they support them in a whole different number of ways, by material means, by military means, by monetary means. And Iran also likes to exact influence in the region through proxy groups such as Hezbollah, which are non-governmental militias that can attack and give Iran plausible deniability, or at least, allow it to be viewed as an attack not directly from Iran. And Iran also supports Hamas in a number of different ways. So after the October 7th attacks and Israel's invasion of the Gaza Strip, the Israelis about a month ago attacked through an airstrike the Iranian embassy in Syria, killing an Iranian general who supposedly had a hand in supporting Hamas for the October attacks, but also killing a number of civilians. Now, this is a direct attack on the country of Iran, right? An embassy, a consulate in a foreign country is viewed as the country, the territory of that country itself. So United States consulate in Russia, in Japan, in South Africa is United States soil. This Iranian embassy in Damascus, in Syria, in a different country, is Iranian soil. So it's almost, although in many ways, a direct attack on Iran. So Iran, and this is what I had predicted from the beginning, Iran had to do something to save face. They had to retaliate in some way. So they launched 300 rockets at Israel, 99% of which were intercepted. And I argued from the beginning, and I stand by this, that Iran knew that they would be intercepted and wanted them to be intercepted. And they sent them in a way that they would be intercepted because they did not want to kill a large number of Israelis. They likely took the risk that they would kill a few Israelis, but they did not want to kill a large number of Israelis. Why didn't they want to kill a large number of Israelis? Because the attack was not meant to destroy Israel, damage Israel, hurt Israel's capability, or start a larger war. That attack was simply a way for Iran to save face and be viewed as retaliating against the Israeli strike in Damascus. And Iran needed a way to do that, to save face, to look good to their own people and the international community by launching a strike against Israel while also not starting a giant war. So how do you do that? You launch an attack that you know will be defeated, and you can at least go back and say to your people, we launched this great attack. Plus, Iran, with state-owned television, etc., they can claim that they caused damage to Israel and killed Israelis in response. And the Iranian people, by and large, won't necessarily know the difference. So that is what happened there. And then Israel said, we will respond. I think they said something along the lines of clearly and forcefully. And a lot of people got very, very scared. They said, well, Iran made a direct attack on Israel, so now Israel's going to hit back even harder. And sometimes war goes that way. However, I never thought that it was going to go that way because of the nature of Iran's attack. If Iran's attack was designed to actually damage Israel, then Israel would have responded in a much more forceful way. Instead, Israel, within the last few days, launched a very limited strike on an Iranian airbase, and by most accounts, nobody was killed and some minor damage was done. The attack was at Isfahan, which is an airbase in Iran where they have F-14 Tomcats. I was an F-15 aircraft maintenance mechanic when I was in the Air Force for 4 years. I've touched those babies up close. I didn't work on them directly. I worked on F-15s, F-16s, A-10s, mostly F-16s, but I got to do a little bit of work on A-10s and F-16s. So what was this dance that we just saw? Well, Israel, I think, initially wanted a way to punish Iran for supporting Hamas in an attack that did cause a lot of deaths in Israel. And so the consulate attack was, the embassy attack was seen as a way to do some damage to Iran, kill a general, but without sparking, again, an international conflict. See, Israel's initial attack was not designed to spark an international conflict. If Israel wanted to go all out, they could have done far more damage on Iran too. So Israel took a limited strike, and then Iran took a limited strike. And Israel, by doing a lesser strike to Iran's retaliatory strike, sends a clear signal, listen, we don't want this to go any bigger. And so Israel took the hint, the nod and the wink from Iran and retaliated in a similar way so that they can also say, hey, look, we struck back for Iran's first ever direct attack on Israeli soil. And I imagine at this point things are going to tamp down and calm down a bit. And, something similar played out during the Donald Trump presidency with the United States, when the United States, through an airstrike, killed Iranian General Soleimani. If you recall, the beginning of that quote-unquote conflict started when Donald Trump scrapped the Iranian treaty that the United States had made with Iran during the Obama administration. And so Iran started ratcheting up tensions by harassing ships in the Gulf and harassing ships in the Indian Ocean, and there was all this back and forth between the United States through these non-violent but escalatory means between the United States and Iran. And Donald Trump, the United States, decided to take an escalatory step by killing Soleimani. Now, he was a wanted target for a long time because he had assisted forces in Iraq that had killed United States soldiers. And then Iran, if you recall, in a similar airstrike to what they did with Israel here, fired a number of rockets and missiles at United States soldiers in territories and controlled areas within Iraq and I believe maybe Syria, and they didn't kill anybody. They quote unquote injured American soldiers, and I'm not going to downplay those injuries. Those are serious injuries, but they didn't kill anybody. And that was, and so that strike again, that was a sort of a strike that signaled to the United States, hey, we don't want any more business, because if Iran wanted more business, right? If Iran wanted the fight after the United States hit Soleimani, then they would have struck back and killed United States soldiers. Same deal with Israel, right? They would have struck back and killed Israeli soldiers or civilians if they wanted that fight, if they wanted that escalation. And by doing a strike that didn't go to that level, okay, they sent a signal. They sent a negotiation signal to the other side, and both times, both with the issue with the United States and the issue with Israel, the opposing force read the signal correctly and decided also to not escalate. Because we have no doubt, there's no doubt about it. If Iran wanted to kill Israelis or kill some American soldiers in the region, they could have reached that goal. Maybe not with their rockets, but certainly in other ways, but also probably with their rockets if it was done right. So what did we view there then? I looked at this through the lens of game theory, which I think is also an accurate lens to use. But we saw a negotiation. And negotiations are filled with back and forth exchanges, and each exchange generally must be interpreted because the action itself may carry signals or messages or information in addition to just the nature of the attack or the nature of the counter offer, right? Whenever you're dealing with negotiations on, let's say, money or business deal. So I will predict again that tensions between Iran and Israel are now going to tamp down and return to something more normalized, more of a status quo. Israel has also shown through their actions in Gaza that they don't want a greater regional war, and so have the regional parties around Israel. And the biggest one to worry about, of course, was and is Iran. But now that they've signaled that they don't want to fight, I wouldn't expect there to be any outside forces coming to help Gaza in the continued war between Israel and Gaza. It's another prediction, or maybe some limited assistance. But even the Houthis, who were firing rockets at Israel from Yemen, they're an Iranian controlled proxy group fighting in a different country, just similar to Hezbollah. So thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you like my content. Libertarian Front. I can be a big nerd about international relations, but much more to come. Please give me a like, give me a subscribe, help me grow this channel. I want to get information out. I want to interpret the news, international politics, warfare, and things through a lens that you will not generally see on the media, right? The mainstream media. I'm going to do it through, this channel is about libertarian politics, but also, let's talk about negotiations without all the politics. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you like my content, like, subscribe, comment, share. Thanks. Bye-bye.